Lord, thank you for allowing us to gather here today. We ask that you bless us. We ask that you watch over us. We ask that you watch over our families, our loved ones, anyone that's hurting and sick. We ask that you watch over our city. We ask that you watch over our decisions. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right. So, looks like we got a light agenda. Discussion of updating the water and sewer connection.
Guys, go to your first tab there, and you'll see in the upper left corner where 220 has been lined out, and there's a red 285.
It's going up.
Going up $65, and that is the cost of the actual meter from our vendor. So right now, these meters cost $3,015, and now they will be, starting tomorrow, if y'all approve this, $3,080. That is the only change in that cost.
When we
$65.
Yeah.
So when you come in and pay, the meter is $3,080.
Yeah.
It's the only change.
Yeah.
285.
And that's the cover cost.
385.
What did?
285.
285, yes, it's $3,085.
Okay.
Yes. Bad math there.
Hey, how far would they run the water line for you?
Your math is right.
My 80?
Yeah, but I thought you said the meter was 285.
It's charged.
I mean 280, I'm sorry. You're
To
good.
run it from the meter to the, actually,
No, we don't need it.
to the meter.
To the meter.
So I wonder if they'll set the meter a little further down.
No.
Okay, never mind. Never mind. I'll just get my shovel. Okay.
Sounds like you need something else to do.
I do, more project. All right.
Anybody want to talk about that slight increase?
Awesome.
Whatever that cost.
And we knew this cost was coming July 1st from
Yeah.
back in December. So,
Discussion of ordinance amendment from May 12th on your second tab. This is adding that zoning class back in that we skipped and missed for the mobile homes, and also a few modifications that Thomas pointed out. Thomas, after going through those page by page last time, did you have anything else that you wanted to change or modify from our last discussion? Okay. Anything on here that you would like to discuss tonight?
I don't think so. Since I wasn't here, can you give me a summary of the modifications?
A lot of them are typographical. Some of them are typographical. Some of them are just like changing. Like for instance, there was you had the difference in time between denial and reapply, reapplication, to change the time from 6 to 12. I don't know when we would do it. I can find it for you right quick if you want. Change some of the definitions. We removed some of the definitions that Jesse thought were probably a lot of changes in the law. Made a few additions to the use tables, and then of course added this stuff regarding MHP classification.
Manufacturing may be approved by the city manager. Or go out and check out any manufacturing.
don't know if you thought that business.
And I've got my red lines. If you all want to ask me what the actual changes were in the various changes, I can think numbers again.
See a copy of the red line.
Was
Can I
that?
thumb through a copy of the red line?
Oh, I have it on my. I have
Oh,
it, you know, but
never mind.
I'm happy to do it.
Oh, that's fine.
Section 8990, fifth page. parking or storing of recreational vehicles. Recreational equipment such as boat trailers, travel trailers, recreational vehicles, pickup, campers, coaches, motorized dwellings, motorized coaches, tent trailers, or other similar vehicles may be parked or stored only inside rear yards or carports or in enclosed buildings, provided however, that such equipment may be parked or stored anywhere on the residential premises for a period not exceeding 48 hours, meaning they can't park it anywhere for more than 48 hours.
Not in residential property.
Not even in the side yards, backyards, or in enclosed buildings. The way that reads, I can't park something in my garage for more than 48 hours.
Oh, I see what you're saying. That is the way that it reads. So, I mean, it would, the intent of this, the way it's written is to keep those types of equipment out of residential areas. If that's a problem, then we can adjust that.
Do we have any kind of issue with any of these?
Yes,
We do?
yes,
Kyle's got one with
basically in the,
Can we just say, can we modify this a little bit? Say that it must be parked, it must be tagged and current. Don't get the top of it, let's brainstorm this one. Must be tagged and current. And kept, like, how would you say that, like kept nice, like kept clean in the side yard or backyard? Would the setbacks still apply? Could we say something like that?
I mean, that does make sense.
The way I read that is it says I can park my boat on the side, the back,
But just
and
not
then
parking in
it
the front
says,
yard.
but you can also park it anywhere on a property for 48 hours.
In the front yard. But the way that's the way I first read it, but the second time I read it, it looks like you can't even park it in your garage for 48 hours.
It is ambiguous. We can be ready.
But just can't say in the front yard.
Can we just clear that up, that saying it can't be parked in the front of the dwelling?
I do like the tagged part.
It's just like your vehicle.
Yeah,
That's right, that's right.
it must be roadworthy.
Yes, makes sense.
Can we say recreational equipment, the definition of all of those must be tagged and roadworthy and may not exceed a period of 48 hours parked in the front yard or the front of a residence.
We can say, we can change the proviso, provided however that such equipment may be parked or stored in a front yard. Rather than stake out anywhere, strike anywhere, and that would allow you, that makes it mean what Mr. 55. Okay, she thought. Does that make sense?
I'm sorry, will you read that as you're striking that out and modifying it?
So what it'll say is, everything will be the same. We'll go back and talk about how to put in the tagging issue. Provided, however, that such equipment may be parked or stored in a front yard on residential premises for a period not to exceed 48 hours during loading and unloading.
Okay.
So I think that provides what, it means now what you thought it meant the first time you read it. What we have is-
Okay.
when you say a front yard, does that include the driveway?
It'd be front of residence. Can we say front of residence?
So what if you don't have a backyard?
No problem.
Well, because our house really is just front yard. It really is. So everything that we park is in front of the residence.
way.
But, I mean, I'd strongly support tagged. I mean, if I have a boat that's obviously not gonna float in water, why do I have it? You know, that should be taken care of. So, I mean, if it's operational, I don't see it, but maybe like a parking area? I mean, definitely not right in the front yard, just leaving grass growing up around it, but if you have a parking area, like a gravelled area in front of the house, is that an issue? Cause that's what we have. I mean, everything's, we're all front yard. Our house is front yard. But we do have some gravel there, and it's a driveway to park trailer and whatnot in. So,
Just slide your house up about 50 feet.
yeah, okay.
I kind of have the same situation you do. My fact, you cannot access I have a backyard,
Yeah,
but you can't access it if you had a boat.
You've had that in new
Or-
subdivisions like
yeah.
that too.
And so, whenever we buy a boat or we buy a camper, which we've been in both of those situations, we put them over at my mama's house.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
You got to go rent a space.
you go, yeah, I don't, you know, she's got
Yeah.
an old garden area
Mhm.
and we just park it right there.
What's the current setbacks for a street right now? For a structure?
Hang on, that's on our charts.
20 feet.
Say we strike this from voting in this meeting, can we bring that one section up?
What I would prefer that you do is, and I just wrote this one other change that needs to be made, is take the whole thing to the next scheduled meeting.
Which is July 1st.
We really need to get the mobile home things,
Yeah.
go ahead and get that done, because we promised that to them.
Not the same thing.
We can remove that section and cover, I mean, let me tell you how it reads now.
Can we just approve it the way it is and come back? I hate to
Well,
remove it.
unfortunately, it sounds like once we do that, there's gonna be a number of people that will, not to the intent of the council will wind up being in violation.
Right.
The way it reads now, actually the one that's adopted reads exactly the same way, except the change in this was to change from 24 to 48 hours.
That's the only
That's
difference.
the only difference.
So it was more stringent before.
Yes,
Okay, well, then
And it hasn't been
never
a
mind.
problem. No one's complaining yet, right?
and we can come back and,
And never mind this, if this is not something new that's been
I mean,
added.
we still need to correct it as well as we can now. So the setbacks.
Setbacks of R1 or 20 in the front.
I was thinking maybe we could add that the trailers must comply with our current setbacks. So if you had a trailer, it had to be set 20 feet off the road and however many feet off the sideline,
10.
so you're not bothering your
In R,
neighbors.
in R1.
Right, so I mean, the whole goal of this is not to,
Have it right next to the road.
yeah.
Yeah,
cause
makes
a problem
sense.
with a neighbor.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Could we somehow say that? Does that
I
make
mean,
sense?
if that's, if the, from a policy standpoint, you don't mind having this type of equipment in front yards.
No, I mean, I would prefer them not being in front yards, but, you know, fair enough with the arguments that some driveways are short.
We just don't have access to the backyard.
And maybe we should say that keep that same provision in R2 and allow it in A1 and allow it in R1.
Would it be bad to put it strictly in the driveway? I mean, I know that some of them are small, but it gets us out of the yard.
Yeah, because you won't be hitting the setback through the driveway.
Yeah. In the driveway. We just need to add the roadworthy and tagged.
I like the word operational. Operational and registered.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Current registration.
guess ours is really side yard to the left of the driveway, so it's not in front of the house. I guess it's fine. I mean, I'm okay, but there's no backyard in
Yeah,
there.
but like, Donna, you don't have a side yard.
We can just say that it should remain in the front, in the driveway,
Yeah,
not in the yard.
I think the topography of the city prevents parking some things in the side yard.
Yeah, but I mean, if we say driveway, then that cleans that up, so it's not parked on the grass, right?
Maybe park or stored only in, add driveway to that list.
Yes.
Yes.
And
So maybe
also,
we're gonna add that in.
Maybe what'd you say?
enclosed building, it'll stay on there.
That you can put it inside your garage, especially if you have a garage door, or even if you don't, it's just sitting.
Can you tell me what, when you get done, Thomas, can you read that?
Yeah, I'll read it. Recreational equipment such as boat trailers, travel trailers, recreational vehicles, pickup campers or coaches, motorized dwellings, motor coaches, tent trailers, and other similar vehicles must be operational with current registration and may be parked or stored only in driveways, side yards, rear yards, carports, or in an enclosed building, provided however that such equipment may be parked or stored in a front yard of the residence on residential premises for a period not to exceed 48 hours during loading and unloading.
Sounds good.
And will that be meeting setbacks as well? Or no?
Some of the lots are awfully small, I don't know that, I mean, we can add that in there.
Yeah, but you're right, the driveway on a lot of them set on driveways.
Well, we know they can't do it at, Haversham Evans.
It's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Try to park something in my yard, I'm gonna chest it from here.
Exactly right, yep, you done there,
I'm
Alan.
gonna sit down myself.
Yeah, you couldn't make it see.
She's so nice, she just sat over there.
Same thing.
Didn't say a word, so I'm fine. Wish me luck.
I just came in, I was shooting breeze.
Oh,
So the addition that we've done the math, but in 89-10, which is our zoning district, we need to add MHP into that list. So,
And that's what we have behind y'all over here, which is dated now June the 12th,
89-1.
10, it's gonna be 89-10, and that's what we're gonna do, is just do a 3.5. Slide it in there, so we don't have everything in order.
Okay.
So it'll be at the top of page 4, underneath there's, definitions that we're removing. There's a D.5, section 89-10, the zoning district shall be amended to add the, zoning district MHP, and be defined as local.
okay. And what I have behind y'all is the new map dated today. In the middle is the one that dates back to November when we approved it. And then the old one to your right over there is from 1992, which is the last map I could find that showed that this same property we're talking about is having that mobile home designation somewhere between the update from 92 to 2013. It was changed.
Right.
And what this does, it gives the homeowner, that's the only mobile home park in the city, and it gives that owner the right to replace one, but with
I knew
a new trailer. And a lot of those in there are
they're pretty old.
pretty old. And,
I've been there around that.
and there is some confusion in there. What the owner has is a lot of owner to purchase the trailer. And there's one there that's got tarps on the roof. And the owner says, which is in the name of the tax shows it in, all that being in his name. But he says, this person who is least purchasing, his responsibility to fix the roof. Well, we're going through a little day in code enforcement on that because the owner per the tax records,
Guy living there is their owner. Oh,
The guy who owns the park
That's-
is the owner of the legal entity of the property, where he then has owner
Trailer. Put them on.
to give that homeowner.
Yeah.
So it's, they have to fix anything and everything.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I didn't hear about this one, so.
But that's the change we're gonna have to have next week.
Golly.
We haven't adopted this.
Okay.
Are they paying like rent of the property?
They pay him whatever their agreement is. But he says his agreement with that person, if they have to maintain it. But as far as we're concerned, the owner of the property,
That's
the
the
legal entity.
Try.
Okay.
Well,
Y'all have anything else y'all would like to change or modify? I think I'm good. Anybody else? Next discussion is the LMIG. When first I ask, this is LMIG next year, correct?
Nope, this is the additional LMIG that Governor Kemp gave us like he did
Oh, okay.
this past year.
Yep.
So this past year, we did 2 rounds. So the first round, we've already approved, and I'll update y'all on that. That one, we received from the state $36,755, and we have to put in a 30% match, which is $11,000. So roughly $48,000 is the total. And back in April, y'all approved for Chestnut Street, Pine Street, Holly Street, part of a little section of Walnut. And so that's gonna be done the latter part of July, is when he's coming in to do that. Now, if you turn and look at the chart here, you can see this chart came to us by the state. You look at our Habersham County cities, you can see how much we have there compared to the other cities. We got $45,092.61, and there's 0 match on this one. All right, and Brian and I have worked with him. If you go to the next page with the email from Brian, if y'all have not driven Rhode Island Street, which is right there beside the university there, it's in bad shape. So that's a section we're doing there. When you're coming up Georgia Street to take a right on Blue Ridge Street, you may notice there's about a 15, 20-foot section of concrete with a bad slope, and you can see where everybody's trailer or something is dragging that.
yeah.
So that is gonna be taken out and redone with the asphalt. And, the other one is Walnut Street. They wanna take from the difference of what they're going to do and run the whole length of that street. So that one will be taken care of.
Walmart.
And as soon as we get that 45,000 from the state, we'll schedule, of course, the contractor would like to have LBIG 1 and the additional LBIG to do it all at one time.
Sure.
But I told him, let's do what we can by the end of July. This paperwork Megan has to get in by the 15th back to the state, where y'all will approve this, and then we should be receiving that money shortly. So we already set aside the match, 11,000, that will come out of SPOS, the first one, and then there's 0 for this one. So if you think about it, you know, we're gonna be hitting last year and this year almost $100,000, you know, 2 different rounds
Yeah, for sure.
of LBIG.
Walnut Street, will that do, will do all of it?
Yeah, it's gonna pretty much do the whole thing. They gonna skip Sean's piece.
Yeah, that's right.
Right from his house. Right there, you know.
He does a good job doing a roundup on it.
It's already starting to turn to dirt anyway.
So you might have a big speed hump
That's
right
the
there.
plan, that's the
Dip
plan.
down.
Yeah, off-roading, off-road there.
I drive it. It's okay.
All right, that's great news. All right. Fantastic. Very good. Any other discussion on that? We'll need a vote to approve this. Okay, see. All right. Do we have anything to go into executive session?
Not from me.
No. Council, anything?
I don't.
All right, Mark, do you want to take our time to go ahead and do your manager's report, or do you want to wait?
No, I got 35 minutes. I think I can fill that time.
You can squeeze it in.
All right. July 4th parade, we all know the timing and everything going on with that. We did make a selection of our grand marshal, which y'all were aware of, which is Dr. Ed and Nancy Hendricks, for all their service they have done for many, many years with their medical practice and then all their extra activities of other organizations that they participate in. They were very excited when I called them, and we will have them here for the July 1st meeting to honor them. And I was telling Sean, I was in Jones' office, the tax assessors, and she had a little plaque on the wall that said, Grand Marshal 2019 Mountain Laurel Parade. And I thought, that's a good little idea to give somebody something. And so that'll be something we'll do for that July 1st there. And then we also will have Evelyn Lovell, who was our rising ninth grader who won our art contest for the t-shirts. I was gonna have her come tonight, but I can't release you the design before then. But so she and her family will be here on July 1st, and we'll give them, their family, some t-shirts for that, and she's very excited, according to Reagan Turner, who is her art instructor at the middle school. We had approved last month the dog park fencing, and we met again with the same contractor. So he's thinking he's coming in the next 2 weeks to get started with that. Donnie, we need to think about any signs that we need to have of instructions and things of that sort.
Okay.
So that we can start getting those made, because the design will be, it will be a separate entrance to go into the dog park. It will not come from the main entrance that's there already for the park itself.
Okay.
So, and,
We need to make sure it's clear. Humans, dogs.
Well,
Humans with dogs. That way people aren't, like, oh, we'll just take,
wherever.
Bailey over here and let her sniff on the children. No, that's not what we're.
so we'll have a note that says no dogs allowed.
Mhm.
So there's one way into this one, and the only way you're getting out is to come back through the gate, or you're climbing the fence, either way.
And the cool thing is we've got a small dog area and a large dog area to keep any, as Mark was looking at these things, he realized there was several, like, interactions between small dogs and big dogs that resulted in legal, and
Yeah,
that
could
type of
be.
thing. So we're keeping the small dogs and the big dogs separate.
The small dog is probably 30 by 70.
Yeah.
Size, separate, and they'll have a gate big enough to get the riding mowers into and things of that sort. So, the downtown pavilion came out fantastic.
Yeah.
Ryan and his crew did a really good job. And, so it is 100% finished.
Yeah, that's great.
And I get some mixed results, whether people like the picnic tables in there, or they want rocking chairs in there, or
Well,
something
let me
like
tell
that.
you, that I've seen multiple people eating their lunch in there.
Yeah.
I've seen multiple, like, families, just eating around those tables. And I've seen a couple of guys out there sitting on them playing guitar.
Yeah.
Have y'all seen them?
Yeah, I have
Just
seen-
two different, I've just seen two separate people, not even together, just two separate people out there playing guitar on them. I think it's much more used in the since it's been completed, than I've ever seen it used.
Yeah, I agree.
Good. Well, it is a very good-looking structure, and the only original part of that building is the 4 beams. That's it. Only thing that's original. So we got a great use ever. Nobody can really tell me how old that place is. Brian remembers as a little kid that it was there. And so,
That's good. They did a good job.
so I'm very pleased with that. Tomorrow morning, we have Dave Sure graduating from Leadership Habersham in the mornings. I will attend that in the morning for him. And, Megan, who do we have that will be going through that for this year? Casey, do you have somebody going through leadership?
You thought about me going through this,
We don't have any.
Because you have to sign up. Get with Megan tomorrow, please. I'm pretty sure it's still open. I want to say, from the fire department, it was, Tim.
He has, yeah, but they have to sign themselves up.
I understand,
Yeah,
but do
Tim, I believe.
can you
signed
check
himself
on
up.
that to make sure he has done that? Because that's something I want us to continue, is always having
Yeah.
folks go through that. Because Megan has done it, Dave will finish it tomorrow, and if y'all wanna go through it,
Where is this gonna be?
it goes to the chamber. It's like once a month,
Okay.
and you'll travel to different things. Typically, you ride
I
on.
mean, tomorrow morning,
It's at Habersham EMC if you wanna meet me there.
Abercrombie, I mean, what time?
Well, the officially starts at 8, so between 7:45 and 8. Anybody else wanna go? So it's a light breakfast and so forth. But again, if any of y'all wanna sign up for leadership, it's $1,000 now, which is, it's not cheap.
but it's really good program.
Yeah.
I went through it, for the school system many years ago.
Yeah.
And it was so good just making those contacts and stuff, because you're riding a bus going to Ethicon or wherever.
And you also spend a day at the Capitol
Mhm.
in
Yeah, we did
February
that.
or March.
But you learn so much about your community.
Right.
Yeah.
It's well worth it.
All right, well, good. Casey, you want to come forward? Let's talk about the school resource officer plan that Patrick Franklin and the school board has asked us to do for Demorest Elementary. Just come here in the front.
Well, the school board, there's 14 schools in Habersham County, you probably know that. There's 9 school resource officers, and they're having problems filling those spots.
And retaining.
So they've asked the cities to have a school resource officer, and they pay for the school, they pay for everything. And they pay for it for the county, and they pay for it for us. So we had a meeting, was it last week?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago?
Well, I was gone.
2 weeks ago, we had a meeting with them, and some cities, they don't want to do it, some cities are on the fence of doing it. I think it's a good idea, because it don't cost us anything.
And he'll be in a Demorest uniform.
Yeah, and they will answer to Demorest. You got the school board police, which does central. You got Habersham SROs, and then you have a Demorest SRO. And Demorest follows Demorest rules, policies, all that stuff. Of course, there's a lot of cost up front with it, and I'm getting all the numbers for that, but my understanding, they pay for all that.
Are they on our payroll, benefits?
They'll be on
and
our
taxes?
payroll, but they pay all that. So they pay all the benefits, they pay everything.
We'll be getting an intergovernmental agreement next week from Patrick, which we will go over, and with Casey, because he's gonna put in there, even you put in there for every single item. Because we like to have our uniforms, we will get reimbursed from this, and he will go through on the timeline. Thomas, here's the timeline we submit, invoices, because again, our employee health insurance is like $900 something to the city. So they'll get billed for that, and we'll put in there the potential for a cost of living increase of 3% in January. So everything that we can think of that you as an employee would cost.
Now, is it a part-time job or
Maintenance
full-time?
on the
So let's put,
It'd be a full-time job, so it'd be hiring someone else.
So would we hire them, or would?
we would hire them.
Okay,
Because they don't work for us.
yeah.
They'll have an additional.
I was just making
officer.
sure that we weren't taking somebody else's
No,
time.
But we're taking somebody from another county,
Okay,
so
But
if
we're,
this goes through.
it will be, they'll work for us, and they'll get paid through us. It's like, I get my paycheck every week, but it'll be paid monthly from.
Reimbursed.
Reimbursed back.
And my suggestion is, as you was on the council when we had the hospital, we had a separate line item for the hospital stuff on the budget.
Yeah.
So that would probably
If they're having problems staffing it, why do they think the cities can staff it?
It's just, you know, some people would rather work for cities than the county. Some people, you know, it's just,
Casey knows and worked with the gentleman. I met him today. You can tell his love for what he does as a police officer with these kids.
Yeah.
He's been doing it for 6 years, and he won the first 2 years SRO of the year. And I said, well, what's happened to you the last 4 years? Did you raise the bar so high? These other guys,
Yeah.
you can't keep up because you were such a good instructor to teach these guys.
That's right.
He says, yeah, we'll go with that idea there, you know, so.
Yeah.
But his excitement, and also when school's out,
They go,
he
and
works.
they're still
Now,
paid,
they will have, we have to do certain training, everybody, all law enforcement has to do certain training every year. He'll have to do a little extra training for school resource officer.
sure.
And they do that in the summertime. He does, you know, he'll take his vacation and that kind of thing in the summertime. But when he's not training or on vacation, he would be with us. Like the 4th of July, that gives us another officer on the 4th of July instead of having to go pay the
And
county.
imagine this, he's working 4th of July, and the kids from our elementary schools see their resource officer working out in the community. You can't beat that. And Sean, to answer your question, not every police officer wants to be an SRO. They think it is gonna be an easier job. They take that job, but they can't feel that job. They go from being the road warrior to helping kids carry their stuff in and building relationships, and some cannot do that. They think that they can, but they just
this guy was made for this. And
What most of them take the job for is the schedule. They have a great schedule.
Sure.
And it gets them off from working night shift and that kind of thing.
Sure.
This guy, I've known him ever since I've been in law enforcement. We've worked together for many years in Gainesville. I know his family, his kids. He's been married for 35 years. His wife retired. They own a daycare at their house. So, I mean, this is, if any job's made for anybody, it's made for him. He told me today he wished he'd have found SRO 20 years ago.
Well, this will be coming up on your July 1st.
Right.
And if y'all would like for Patrick to come and speak on behalf of this program, he's willing to come.
Sure. I haven't seen him in a while. It's good to see him.
But he can answer more questions, and he knows somewhere down the line, we're gonna forget to add something on there. And he's all right with that. He just send me a bill, you know? And I'm sure that somebody's gonna hear that and they're gonna say, well, why is the school board pay? Well, the school board's gonna pay it anyway.
Right.
Either they're gonna pay it to the sheriff's office, or they're gonna pay it to Demorest, or they're gonna pay it somewhere else. And
But when I heard about it, Casey was really happy and excited about it.
Yeah, brings
And
him
again, because one thing we've started doing, Megan and some other parents had said, hey, why don't you have Denver's police officer, not up on school, but sit in the traffic area down there so that folks can see the police officer of Demorest shining and looking good, sitting there as just another safety valve for that parent to know, hey, my kid's safe.
So who's gonna be the boss? You,
They
not,
report.
not anybody employed with the school system.
Nope.
Not internally with their
Nope.
security, you.
And that's a question that a lot of them asked in the meeting. A couple other questions they asked is, what happens if he's out sick? And the one from the middle school would come over and do like they do now. And the same thing, if they were out sick, he would work both of them.
Okay.
Would he be part of traffic control in front of the school?
He would be.
Oh, he'll be direct.
I don't know how they would break it up.
He might be up at the school.
Every other day.
Not saying he's going to be down, you know, so that's just a fair question we have to ask.
Wesley does a pretty good job directing traffic. He's not leaving. He's still with the
No,
SRO.
They're just, like I said, they're wanting to find a way to put a person in each school.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And a lot of people ask because it's a 12-year deal, a 12-month deal,
Sure.
is what happens after 12 months? So now we got a person here. Well, school resource officer's not gonna go away anymore. That's, I mean, if anything, they'll add with the way the world is today. You know,
There's all kind of grants and
Yeah.
things that are coming out for those
Right.
positions.
when I started, we did when we trained for school shootings, we set up the perimeter, we waited on 4 people to come in before we went into school. Well, a few years later, it was 2 people. Well, now it's just you go. You don't wait on anybody, you don't wait on backup, you just go. So it's ever changing, and there's never gonna not be, I don't think, an officer in schools anymore. It's just unfortunately the way the world is.
And he will wear our normal police uniform every day, unless there's a reason he's in field day or something and he's in the training clothes like Casey's in.
But he'll have everything that we have on the road, car and all that stuff. And Robin has offered to give us a car to get us started, because we can't get all the stuff, just right now. But he's
But if
offered.
we're driving a Habersham,
He'll be driving a Demorest.
He'll drive a Demorest car. I think Robin's gonna take all the lettering off of it. He's gonna give us a car until we can get our, get our
So it
own
won't
stuff.
have like the Raider head on it and all that
No,
stuff. The other ones do.
Yeah,
They
we'll
have
we'll,
all
uh,
kinds of stuff.
we'll get a wrap that's there. I've already talked to the guy who does our striping, and he's gonna work on a wrap for us to.
but it's gonna say City of Demorest.
Okay,
Yeah, it's gonna be a Demorest car.
gotcha.
It'll make us look real good.
Oh, yeah, put it on the parade.
Will it be a graffiti car?
He's working on some ideas.
There you go.
All right, very good. Thank you. Thank you, Casey. We got our initial audit report this week. Happy to say we will be receiving a clean report. And Banks and Carter will be here on our July 1st meeting to do their presentation of that. And if you remember last year, we had to do an amended budget before the end of June. And last year, we had a fund balance, which means an extra amount from the budget of $121,000. And I'm pleased to tell you tonight, we will have to do the same thing. We will have an amended budget of $213,260. So which is, here's our budget, and we came under the total budget. You may be out of over on one, but the overall budget came out $213,000. Now, Thomas, you should have a message from Heather or Megan. Pull up your calendar.
So the question is, we're supposed to have 2 public hearing meetings. Does it have to be advertised, the first one have to be advertised 15 days before with it being budget?
All right, here's gonna be our challenge. You look at today's date, it is the 12th. So 15 days from today,
No, it will be 15 days from the 18th, because the newspaper won't be able to get an ad in until Wednesday.
okay, so tell me what 15 days is, and this is where our problem is. Okay, that's our problem. It has to be turned in June 30th. They just got us this. This is not our fault. And we gotta have a second meeting after July 2nd,
7 days following or 5 days?
which means we are going to be out of compliance with the state. Because the question is, did you turn it in on June the 30th? Yes or no? The answer will be no. Now, we will have it cleared up within 2 weeks. But when we get asked on the document, have you been out of compliance with the state for any reason last 5 years? The answer has been no. Come this year, it's going to be yes.
How do we fix that?
They should have got us this information much earlier in the month.
Is there any way to file like extension?
But we'll do all that, we'll do that, but still you're out of compliance. And so, just, our audit is fantastic again.
Is there any way to think outside the box to figure out how,
You have to ask him, because the law is,
you got a minimum budget the same way you pass a budget?
Were there penalties involved in that?
no, well, it could be if you're applying for something and you have to admit we were out of compliance. but there's not a monetary in the meantime. It's just, we didn't meet the plan.
If we didn't meet it, there's gonna be several more, obviously.
We don't wanna be in that group.
No, we don't.
But we are now, by the time we got this, and we realized the 15 days and then the additional 7 days, because if y'all remember this last year, we did it like on a Thursday, and then the next Thursday at lunchtime or something. So the meeting's gonna take us all of 5 minutes.
So it's 15 days from,
The 18th, which is the first day an ad can run.
golly. That's not our fault. I mean, it's because it's a local newspaper, doesn't mean it's,
It's not their fault either. We didn't get the information.
well, sure, but they only publish twice a week.
Here's a solution, what about a special edition?
Well, I mean, I'm not saying run a full paper, but I
Every
mean,
edition's
I mean,
Can we post it on our website and cover that?
I mean, even Northeast Georgia can put it on their website.
I think he's looking.
It's gotta be advertised.
You got that look. Lawyer look.
Put it in the Mountain Traveler magazine before the newspaper comes out. What if we advertise at the Gainesville Times?
It's got
It's gotta be the
Yeah,
local.
look, man, we need
Northeast
to
Georgia's the legal organ.
daily product.
While he's looking at that, because I don't want you to tell me I used up my whole 35 minutes.
Yeah.
Pro Restoration has completed all of the police station, in which that part came under budget from his original quote of $18,940 was his quote for there. And we wound up paying him $12,994, savings of right at $6,000.
Yeah, good.
And I was in there on Friday of last week. Some of y'all may have walked in there, but it is very dry. And the dehumidifier's hitting around 40. So he's got everything going on. Brian will rebuild a bathroom down there for the employees when they're at the park or anything. So
Yeah.
just another basic bathroom. In the fire department, we had a bid of $18,994. And his bid came, once the work was completed, it came out at $23,194. But when I took the combined amount of the two contracts,
Yeah.
he was within that total amount.
Yeah.
So the total job was $37,934. And he was under budget $1,746. And what has happened at the fire department is he has completed all his demo, and then he has done the reframing of the wall, which we came out about a foot or so out to build a new wall. Anytime y'all want to go over there and see it. And he has sealed that block wall from where the closet, when you come through the door going into our, where we did the executive sessions and work sessions, so right there where that closet was, that's where it all was coming in at, in that closet area. Back across here, all the way back around to through the closet,
Sure.
where the AC handler was, all the way to that bathroom. And so he's got his drain system in there, and it runs to a pump, like you would have a pump, a sewer grinder pump in your basement.
Yeah.
That will pump anything out. So all that is done. But what he has left to do is, we've got to reinstall the AC so that Dave and Lance can move back into their side. They came yesterday and did all the ductwork cleaning and cleaned the existing system there. So within the next 2 weeks or so, they'll come back and reinstall the AC. And then Brian has to build the bathroom back so that they're self-contained down there with heat and air and restroom. But we're not going to cover the walls, anything. We're just gonna keep it a blank shell
Yeah, unfinished.
because we really don't have a need. If they need training space, they have all they need up here.
Right. Sure.
And it was great for what it was, but for now, it's just,
Yeah.
it'd just be,
Unfinished basement.
yeah, it's just like over at the police department, it's just, nothing's really gonna be in there other than a bathroom. So I was pleased with that, and, all right.
Mighty kind of it.
Talk him inside.
Well, that looks good. I'm gonna read it right now.
All right. If we'll turn to section 4. I tell you what. 651.
Go ahead.
I'm going over.
You're fine.
All right. If you'll go to this first page that has the chart,
Yes.
this is coming from a discussion, and Jimmy and I discussed this yesterday. This was coming from a discussion about if we want to increase the tax income on from our property village. The first chart there, if you'll see, says the assessed value. The second total there is our existing village rate of 7.16. And right now, as a round number, we're collecting $475,000 from our millage. All right? And that tells you right there from the different house values, what that millage cost a homeowner. All right, if you go to the next column, I said, well, if we want to increase the millage by $500,000, so it's $475 plus $500,000, or $975. If you did that, that 14.60 is your new millage. Okay, and there you go with all the house values there. All right, the next column, if you wanted to increase it by $750,000, so that's your $475 plus additional $750,000, that puts you at the $1,225,000, and your millage is 18.34. And there's your payment amount for the different house values. And then the last one there is if you want to increase that by $1 million, so that's $475 plus $1 million for $1,475,000. Your millage is going to 22.08. And if somebody lived in a $300,000 house, their payment is $6,624, and their current tax amount is the $3,800 currently for the county.
Yeah.
So what this is about is showing you if we want additional tax revenue to come in, these are your mills.
Yeah.
Y'all would have to approve.
Yeah.
And what I had said last month I would do is give y'all this information, and if y'all wanna hold a town hall meeting to see how the public would be interested in hearing their taxes going up like this with additional revenue, that would be up to y'all, but I'm happy to set the meeting up if that's something y'all wanna do,
No, I'm not interested in my taxes going up.
okay? Jimmy, any thoughts?
There's still a lot to think about. Nobody wants their taxes to go up,
Absolutely not.
but there's issues we need to address in the city.
And we know the issues. We started dealing with these really heavily last August, September, October. And,
And we're not the only ones dealing with this. We're not.
but
So,
we're
We're
gonna
not
be dealing
the
with,
only city going through this.
say that again, I'm sorry.
So we're not the only
Right.
city going through this.
no.
And all I'm giving y'all is an example and, of what it would be, because it would be something that y'all, whoever wants to attend the meeting, would do the presentation, I'll give you the information.
Yeah.
And for y'all to stand up and say, if you want this,
Yeah.
I've gotta have some additional revenue.
I think my concern, and I know obviously what we're talking about here. I was asking someone a question, because I live in the town of
Can you-
Manhattan. I was talking to someone that lives in the town of Manhattan, and I was saying, if this happened to you, what's your opinion of it? And, of course, the response time comes up. And I can see that being a concern for a lot of people. But I know that we have issues across the county, and we still help the county. And if they're on a call, we still have to wait for other people to come help, you know? So I don't know if this would be a problem, but we may have to address that. down the line. But it's a lot of money.
You know,
Numbers don't lie.
Fortunately, to cover some of our needs, especially when we look at the fire department, you know, that some of those needs of the coverage would be looking at a tremendous tax increase.
It would be.
And, even one that I don't want, and that I would fight against, just to see a huge tax increase to go up that much to cover our needs.
I think about those people on fixed incomes that
100%.
bought a house 40 years ago for X amount of dollars, and now it's worth $250,000 by
right.
today's standards.
That's right.
And they're gonna have to pay tax, they're gonna have to pay that $250,000 worth. And, it's gonna hit your older community
Yeah.
and your first time home buyers.
Yeah.
So it's gonna hit both sides of the generation
Yep.
situation.
So the question is, does anyone want to host a town hall meeting to discuss tax increases?
Out of them numbers.
Yeah.
Mark, this is very helpful, just to see. I mean, I just text Nikki and asked her what our assessed value is on our home.
Yeah.
She keeps up with that more than I do.
Makes you nervous, right? You're like, oh,
And so I wanna know where we fall,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
You have to understand too, this is rather simplistic as far as revenue. There's other streams of revenue to help with this. This is not saying if you go out and buy a fire truck, your taxes are going up to 22%. There are other ways to finance some of this.
What do you think?
Grants.
Okay.
I asked the question, is Mr. Day doing anything for the fire department? No. He's not even looking at grants for us.
I don't have any direction to tell him to look at that. I haven't had anybody until you yesterday to ask that question.
And I think it's been something in the past we've talked about, there's just never been any grants out there. for fire trucks.
And they were matching, or maybe it wasn't fire trucks, but it was fire equipment.
Yeah.
And it was like a
Matching too.
direct match.
Right.
Yeah.
So you wind up paying,
Because even if we can finance it, I still gotta have a revenue source that I can say, this is gonna pay
Right.
for that. And that's where, with our existing income, until we have the next BLOST, I can't give you a direct item that I can show that for.
That is if we do get lost.
Well, that's right.
Yeah.
I'll have to show you that stuff. Y'all gotta give me some direction, because if y'all want this meeting, we can have it. But I think what I'm hearing, it could be just you, Jimmy, at this meeting. You know, if you want it, I have no problem.
Well, I think it should be something the entire council would be a part of. It's not just me in the city.
I think they said they don't want a part of these numbers or something to that effect, so.
And I'm just, if I lived in the county, and just because I have Demorest water, and the city's using the revenue from that service they're providing, and they're spending the money on something that benefits just the city, I would be just as unhappy about it as I am seeing these numbers on this paper. Because I get that we are fortunate to have this type, this type of business, that we're making that kind of money. But what happens when water lines go down and we're utilizing that revenue for something else, not putting back in the infrastructure? Now you've got, our fire services are still gonna be protected, but man, what if you have roads that are without water, because our system failure, but we have no cash flow to cover, a broken down pump or whatever. It's a hard pill to swallow, but I know black and white, the numbers don't lie. And we cannot afford to pay that kind of dollar.
mine would double,
We'd have to move.
more than double.
I guess we're living in that Jeep Wrangler we saw for sale up there at Bank of Anime. But sorry, Jimmy, I'm out. Can we talk about, is this time that we can actually
We're not
discuss?
voting on anything.
I know that,
We're just talking about whether.
I just had said from the last meeting, we would bring this up.
Sure.
We're just talking about whether or not we wanted to
Even
talk
though town,
about
like town hall.
this as we start
Yeah,
in our budget,
yeah.
in our budget.
Because we start that in August.
So that budget year is rapidly approaching on us
Yes.
on the planning. And when we look at the needs that are spread out, we need to make sure that we keep those needs in mind to know how to allocate those dollars. And I challenge all of y'all to go by the office and pick up one of the current budgets and the current year-to-dates and see where the money's going.
You have the
Yeah.
year-to-date
Yes, correct.
in here, but also, we have extra copies of that chart right over here, and you should have those in your package. And that was just a point of reference, that wasn't anything that the city is doing at this point in time, it was a point of reference of information.
It's really eye-opening to see what just, seemingly small ticks and mills of how that affects in tax dollars. Because I don't think anybody wants to see some of those jumps.
Can't work.
And I'll reserve my last little bit of financials, I've been department heads.
So nobody wants to see their taxes go up.
Okay.
But you know, the last 2 years, we've raised taxes, we've increased the water rates.
And a lot of that's just to cover
To cover.
expenses.
Right.
Yeah, just cover expenses.
But it's part of running the city. Stuff costs more money.
Would you like to ask for that town hall meeting?
I think we need to have more discussions before we get to that.
Okay. I'll talk about it a little bit more. You wanna
Yeah.
talk about it next month, or you wanna
Yeah.
continue talking about it now?
Next one.
Okay. Very good. You have anything else you wanna talk about right now?
No, I'll reserve the rest when we go into the meeting.
Okay, you only have 8 minutes.
Yeah. Well, Casey's by himself, Casey's got a lot of tables and chairs to disassemble with us.
Casey ain't never buys.
He is tonight for some reason.
Not this crap.